I want to go across to the professor at TIS. 1 second, sir, I'm coming back to you. And I want to understand from you, Professor Ramkumar, because the argument contra to the argument that you just made is that if you involve private companies, the big companies, the small companies, you can expand at scale. The government can roll out the vaccine program constrained by the government's own administrative architecture. But the moment you involve the private sector, in this, A, they have the money, so it takes a part of the financial load off the government's coffers and puts the onus on private companies. Secondly, you can achieve a scale which will allow these pharma companies to go back and spend more on scaling up production than would otherwise have been possible if the government was the only source of revenue. Professor Ramkumar.
Look, there are two issues here. One is that whether to involve private providers in the distribution of vaccine is a good thing or not. I don't think it is a bad idea at all. We should involve as many providers of vaccines who provide vaccine services as possible. That's a way to enlarge the net of vaccination. My point is different. My point is on what price is the vaccine provided. The point about affordability of the vaccine that you mentioned will be limited to a very small section of our population. For the significant remaining section of our population, these prices that have been announced on the 18th or 19th of April are clearly unaffordable. And this unaffordability point I'm making after taking into consideration the profit concerns of the private companies. In fact, on the 6th of April, Mr. Adar Poonawalla was on record saying rupees 150 per dose is profitable for him. It provides him normal profits. But what he's actually looking for is super profit. And what is that super profit? He was looking at a price of rupees 1,000 per dose. Now, this is the first phase that we have seen of the price increase towards rupees 1,000 per dose, where Mr. Poonawalla, yesterday he said in an interview that he wanted the price for state governments too to be fixed at rupees 600 per dose. It should be for the same for the states and private hospitals. But there was some pressure on him, so he brought it down to 400 per dose. And from that, it is very clear that he actually prefers, and not just he, private companies who look at profits would actually prefer those who are purchasing at rupees 600 per dose over those who are purchasing at 400 rupees per dose. It is normal business. So I have a strong feeling that given that we have kept 50% for states and private hospitals, one, there will be increased competition across states, which will vie for a larger share of the pie. And number two, there will be competition between states and private hospitals where the prices are very clearly different, and the private provider will clearly favor the person paying a higher price of rupees 600 per dose. This is a serious problem that we are going to face in the coming days, particularly because both Bharat Biotech and Serum Institute are going to fail to meet their target of production capacity expansion in May. Both of them are going to reach their May capacities only by June or July. In other words, this vaccine shortage is going to remain with us for a considerable period of time. There will be rationing that will be required. And the question that we have to ask is, what is the criterion that will be used to ration? Will it be a social criterion or will it be an economic criterion based on price? If it is an economic criterion based on price, it will be socially regressive. It will be inequitable. That is why A, vaccine should be free. B, there should be a single mechanism or dedicated channel of flow of vaccines from the center to the states, with the states taking part in the distribution of vaccines with the participation of as many private players as possible. That format of vaccination is very much possible within the ambit of free vaccination and a dedicated channel from center to states based on a socially desirable formula of vaccine sharing. This is precisely what the present policy of the central government militates against. One last point that I'll make is the lady who was speaking for the ruling party was mentioning that I made a mistake in saying that centers' vaccines are not free. I'm going to tell you that centers' vaccines are going to be free only for the 30 crore plus population, which is above 45 years of age. There is no clarity yet. There is no statement from the central government as yet, which will tell you that vaccination for those between 18 and 45 years are also free. There is no statement from the central government to this effect, and as such, we have to believe that the center will pay 400 rupees per dose to the private company, and the people also will have to pay 400 rupees to get that vaccine. This is the primary problem that I see in the days ahead. There is no clarity as yet. Central government has made no statement that vaccination will be free from its 50% quota when it is given to those less than 45 years of age.